and I recognize Ranking Member Bush for her 5 minutes of questions.
St. Louis and I are here today to present the facts about gas stoves and the hazard they pose on our environment and our health. I think about my colleague says he likes gas stoves. I like gas stoves. We all like gas stoves. Seatbelts work too because there are standards put in place to keep people safe. This is a standard. This is we're talking about keeping people safe, and I like people to be alive, not necessarily what looks like a way to weaponize or to politicize an appliance. Let's keep people safe. So scientific research has proven there is a direct connection between gas stoves and, let's just take childhood asthma, finding that gas stoves are linked to 1 in 8 childhood asthma cases. These findings are especially concerning considering that asthma disproportionately affects Black and brown communities, like whole communities of people, humans. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, 13.4% of Black children have asthma, while only 7.8% of white children have asthma. New mothers heating up bottles or making pancakes could be poisoning their children without their knowledge. We want to keep them safe. This evidence linking gas stove emissions to negative health outcomes, it continues to grow. Gas stoves rely on natural gas or methane as a fuel source, which affects both the climate, both as fossil fuel source and as a greenhouse gas itself. So, Mr. Delasky, how does using natural gas as a fuel source contribute to the climate crisis?
Burning natural gas in our homes and in our power plants is a significant contributor to climate change emissions, and it's also a significant contributor to air quality challenges and problems indoors and outdoors. And making our stoves more efficient would reduce combustion and reduce the emissions coming from our stoves.
Okay, Mr. Delasky, would improving the efficiency of gas stoves, would that help reduce the impact on the climate crisis? Absolutely.
Improving the efficiency of our gas stoves would help.
I wholeheartedly agree. A 2022 study by Stanford scientists found that annual methane emissions from all gas stoves in the United States, in those homes, have a climate impact comparable to the annual carbon dioxide emissions of 500,000 cars, with more than 3/4 of methane emissions originating while the gas stoves were not even in use. So, Mr. Delasky, what actions can manufacturers, can consumers, and regulators take to prevent the vast amounts of methane leakage from gas stoves?
One of the steps that we can take is for the Department of Energy to set the first ever efficiency standards for gas stoves. We now, for the first time, have a way of measuring relative efficiency and to ask manufacturers to make the investments to make their gas stoves that they sell more energy efficient, reducing their emissions.
One more question for you. What pollutants do gas stoves emit that are so harmful to human respiratory systems?
I'm not an expert in the various emissions that are coming out of gas stoves. I would point you to comments filed by the American Lung Association, as well as a number of nurses' organizations and other public health advocates to the Department of Energy in the gas stove docket, where they lay out some of the problems for indoor air quality and for ambient air quality. They're the experts, and I point you to that American Lung Association. They support the gas stove standard and are vocally supporting it.
Well, I'll just add, like nitrogen dioxide, which is known to irritate the human respiratory system. And as a nurse, I've seen it all too often, the effects. Further research we know is warranted. In the meantime, experts suggest several actions businesses and families can take to reduce the health risks associated with gas stoves. These include opening a window, using an exhaust hood, installing carbon monoxide detectors, and making the transition to electric stoves. Everyone should have the necessary information about their household goods to determine what is best for them, particularly their stoves. Thank you, and I yield back.
Thank you. Chair recognizes